It's October 29th, 1964, and the American Museum of Natural History in New York City is closed for the night. Everything's under lock and key. The night guards are patrolling the hallways, and in the darkness of night, the city lights stream through the window, gently illuminating exhibits, including the J.P. Morgan Hall of Gems and Minerals. Then, a foot pokes through an open window. Two men slide down a rope and tiptoe through the room. They cut into the glass casings, protecting the jewels with the ease of seasoned veterans, scooping up 24 priceless gems. The two thieves sneak back out the window and abscond into the night.
Welcome to Heist Club, where we've got a new heist story coming at you each week. We're here to uncover the details behind some of the most audacious and ridiculous robberies of all time. How they pulled it off, how they got caught, and the mysteries that remain. Bank heists, art heists, diamond heists, and other capers you won't believe. I'm Jesse.
And I'm Todd.
Welcome to the club.
Hello, Jesse.
Hello.
We're talking about the Beach Boys this episode, but not the Beach Boys, just a couple of Beach Boys.
Just some beachy boys.
Beachy boys. They were actually men, but they behave like boys. Boys steal. Do men steal?
Yes.
Yeah, yes. A topic for another episode. But yeah, we can get into it. So it took place in 1964, as you heard in our beautiful intro. But for context, the year before, 1963.
Whoa. I wasn't sure where you're going that the year before, but that's crazy.
Wasn't sure how good you Heist Club members were at math, but the year before, 1964.
Yeah,
we are bringing you so much new information. I know that's why you love the pod. It's like, hey, do you know what the year was before 1964? Blow me away.
If you ask someone that question, they would probably think you were not okay.
We might need to, work on our education skills. But the reason we bring up 1963 is that actually a gem heist occurred in the United States every 32 seconds that year, which is a lot.
That doesn't sound right, but I believe you because it's in the script.
Yeah, we are well researched, if nothing else. So, I mean, every 32 seconds how many?
I mean, we got the math right on 64, 63, so I'm assuming the math is right on this too.
The Heist Club can trust us. We know years. So we know ratios of heists every 32 seconds.
Yeah.
But apparently in 1963, it was all the rage. And Crook stole $41 million worth of precious and semi-precious stones in that year alone. That's a lot.
And all of you semi-precious stones out there, you're also precious.
Yes, you're precious to us, just not as precious to the stone community, of which we are not actually a members, I guess. We are stone adjacent. But I guess that's also just the insured bunch. So it's actually even more than that. So it was a thriving seller's market. Many legitimate jewel merchants doubled as fences and mixed stolen merchandise into their honest lot. And you'd think anyone with precious jewels would keep them under heightened security, right? Right?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, that's a huge, especially if it's always happening, you think they would be on it.
Yeah, and that brings us to probably a place that is not taking it seriously. And that place is, as mentioned before, the American Museum of Natural History in Manhattan. They did not get the memo. Jesse, have you been to this museum?
Nope. Have you been there a bunch?
I've been there a bunch. I was there 2 months ago for a field trip with my son with his third grade class. They are studying space and the history of the Earth. I don't think I studied that till way later, but they're studying that in third grade. And we went to the planetarium and heard Tom Hanks was an option, but Tom Hanks was not ours. We had Lupita Nyong'o. She did it, and we looked around. We did not see the J.P. Morgan Hall of Gems and Minerals, which I believe still exist. But
okay,
a fun trip for a third grade class on the subway too. We did not take a bus, so it was a fun, it was a lot of counting of children. There was a lot of, do we still have 28? Okay, good.
Interesting. That's a new concept to me. Field trip via subway. I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah. I think it's much better when you can do the way. The buses are always late and you're always stuck in traffic and kids always throw up. Well, okay. Enough aside. But the American Museum Natural History, like as we said, did not get the memo about all the precious and semi-precious stones that are being stolen in the early 60s. As one of the largest museums in the United States, it actually has multiple floors containing priceless artifacts, art pieces, and of course gemstones. The museum's fourth floor showcases the J.P. Morgan Hall of Gems and Minerals. Yeah, so this hall is 100 feet long, 60 feet wide, and windows line the 25-foot high walls, giving the room plenty of natural light, as we mentioned, perfect to help the shining stars of the showcase, help them shine, if you would. And Morgan amassed his over 2,000 stone collection with the help of Tiffany's renowned gemologist, George Frederick Koons. When Koons and his team finished collecting, he donated the entire hall in 1901. So here we are 63 years later. The museum displays the gems under double pane glass, and their star pieces get their own display. We're going to go through a few here. You could probably help me with this, but the first one is the Blue Star of India, which was mined 300 years ago. And at 563 carats, it's the world's biggest sapphire, size of a golf ball. We have a picture. Kind of looks like a planet. Kind of looks like a beautiful foreign planet.
Yeah, it does look really cool.
Yeah.
The next one is the Midnight Star, which is the largest black sapphire at 116 carats, believed to have been mined in Sri Lanka.
A little more colorful in that reflections we're seeing here.
Right.
Also, this could be they have a light shining right at it. It's hard to tell how these pictures were taken, And then the DeLong Star Ruby, which is named after the woman who donated it, a rich heiress named Edith Hagen DeLong. It was mined in Burma. Not everyone calls it Burma. In the 1930s, it's 100 carats. It's considered the world's most perfect ruby. This is quite a strong red color. Yeah.
Yeah. I guess it looks pretty perfect.
Yeah.
I don't really know my rubies, but it looks cool.
Perfect enough.
Yeah. The Tom DeLong Star Ruby.
The Tom DeLong. Yes.
That's the joke I had in my head.
His is less perfect, I'm guessing. But that's okay.
Probably has like a UFO on it or something.
There you go. Yes.
Yeah.
If you stared long enough, you see the UFO inside.
If you cross your eyes, you'll see an alien. And then we have the Eagle Diamond, discovered in 1876 by a farmer in Eagle, Wisconsin. It's a 16-karat yellow diamond, and at the time, it was the largest diamond ever discovered in the United States.
Wow. Which I'm guessing is Nevada. Actually, wait. They said, it's discovered in Wisconsin. Okay, sorry. I was just reading something random. I went to a gold exhibit yesterday, and they're talking about where all the gold and things are mined in the United States, and Nevada.
You went to a gold exhibit yesterday. Yeah. What does that mean?
Sunday. Sunday. It's called Solid Gold. It's at the Brooklyn Museum, and it's basically different pieces from their collection that feature gold. So it had dresses, it had actually gold jewelry, but also had like paintings with gold that was featured. It's actually quite cool. It was very, very fun. The kids enjoyed it.
Okay.
Anyway, back to our diamonds and such. So these precious stones received care from the museum's geology curator, Brian H. Mason, who carefully deactivates and reactivates the alarm system every time he interacts with them. So very careful about that. So they do have an alarm system, despite us saying maybe they weren't taking the jewel thieves seriously enough. But in addition to that alarm system, there's a retractable metal gate that seals the gem hall from the rest of the museum. And of course, there's night guards patrolling the museum hourly, even when it's closed. Besides, this is one of New York's largest and most famous museums. No one would dare try to rob them.
No one would ever do that.
Right, Jesse? No one would dare.
Cut to
what?
The morning of October 30th, 1964.
Wait, what's happening? What's happening?
You know what's happening.
Oh, God, it's happening.
It's like the idea of me just telling the story. You're like, what? No, the entire time.
What? Stop it. Shut up. You shut up.
It's very distracting. Dr. James Oliver sits in a dentist chair getting his tooth pulled, but his already unpleasant morning is about to get much worse. At 10 a.m., museum guard John Hoffman arrives for his shift. He goes about his routine, unlocking the retractable gates, guarding the exhibits. He reaches the fourth floor and makes his way to the gem hall. But when he unlocks the gates and walks inside, he's met with smashed glass and missing gems.
It happened. Jesse, it happened. They did it. They done did it.
They done did it. He immediately calls the police. But he's so distraught. He's absolutely incoherent on the phone. He's just blubbering about his mission missing.
Gems! My precious and my semi-precious gems!
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
Top brass cops and reporters swarm the museum. According to Vanity Fair article, one detective shouts, "Better keep the boys away from these cases or have nothing but photographers' prints all over." It didn't matter. There were no prints to find anyway. In fact, the thieves left no clues at all, besides an open window. They're pretty good, it seems like. Fresh out of his tooth extraction, Dr. James Oliver gives a press conference outside the museum. He blames the lack in security on budget cuts and reveals some shocking news. It's that the gyms are not insured. You cannot take items such as these, which are priceless, and get insurance on them. So that's not good. But
does he not understand insurance? Isn't that like you insure things when they have high value?
Right, yeah. Prosecutor Maurice Najari knows he's dealing with professionals. He told the Smithsonian, quote, "They knew what they wanted and took it." So who were these geniuses? To find out, we'll have to leave the Big Apple and go down south to Miami, Florida.
Let's get on a plane.
We're going to Miami.
Are we driving? Are we going to take a boat? Do you want to fly down? How do you want to go, Jesse?
That really bad Will Smith song.
I thought you were going to ask me to sing it. I was like, do not have me.
No. In the 1960s, Miami saw a rise in violent crime and corruption. The culture was criminal, and everyone knew a guy who knew a guy. One of these guys arrived in 1955 on a train from Pittsburgh. To answer your question, it was a train. That's how they got there.
It was a train. Okay, we took a train. Good to know.
Train, yeah.
I probably wouldn't choose train, but okay, good for you.
Yeah. Meet Jack Murphy, a.k.a. Murph the Surf. It's a good nickname.
It's great.
Jack grew up in a middle-class family in Oceanside, California. He reminisces that his home was always decent, clean, moral, no drinking, honesty in all things. He had two passions, the violin and surfing.
Two passions that have so much in common with each other, right?
I think it's a well-rounded dude, you know?
I mean, that's very true. I mean, love to meet someone.
I'm immediately imagining him playing the violin while surfing.
Yeah, I can see that too. Like a Frankie Avalon movie where it's like a fake background and he's pretending to ride the surfboard and he's playing the violin.
Violins are way too fragile to do
it's a Stradivarius, no!
Oh my gosh, yeah. When he was 15, he moved to Pittsburgh, and he leaned all the way into violin, earning himself a full-ride scholarship to the University of Pittsburgh. But after his first semester, he's faced with the horrifying possibility of staying in Pittsburgh forever. Oof. Sounds like he's having an existential crisis. Ouch. He hops on a train to Miami and never looks back. So Jack takes odd jobs at the local beaches and resorts, wowing tourists and even locals with his surfing skills as Murph the Surf. I mean, he could be a violin busker, too, if he wanted to.
Yeah.
In 1957, he married Gloria Stostock, a wealthy tourist, after just 9 days of acquaintance. Not really a recipe for a long marriage, but they stuck it out for 5 years and 2 children, at least. So they did it after meeting after 9 days. That's pretty crazy. Mm-hmm. And after he loses his surf shop to his greedy business partner in the early 1960s, his life changes forever. Jack joins his buddies on what he thinks is a normal nighttime boat party. But to his surprise, they pull up to a waterfront mansion. The crew easily breaks in and pilfers the home of cash and jewelry. Jack gets $15,000 for his cut, about $150K today, which I think is crazy. What a movie. I'm imagining this as a movie scene.
That's a good cut. I mean, 150K out of that group, and also like, who are these friends? Right? Who are these buddies?
That is crazy. You think you're just going on a boat party? Like, actually, we're going in someone's home. That is insane.
I would say, how well did he know them? Not to know they might do this, but he also married someone after only knowing her for 9 days. So he does seem like the kind of guy who might not know people that well, and all of a sudden just find himself in a situation that was more unexpected than planned.
Yeah. And as we'll soon see, he is very into it. So maybe he was already kind of affiliated with those type of people to begin with.
You're right. Because, now Murph the Surf has a new gig and a dangerous alter ego, Jack the Jewel Thief. But, what's a jewel thief without a partner in crime? Enter Alan Kuhn. So this is our other beach boy, if you would. Raised by a single mother in rural Missouri, Alan never knew a life outside of poverty. In high school, he was arrested and sentenced probation for breaking into his neighbors' homes. And to turn his life around, Alan enlisted in the Navy and worked in submarines down in Key West, Florida. And then in 1962, he decided not to re-enlist. Instead, he moves 160 miles north to Miami, where he lands a job as a swim instructor at the Casablanca Hotel. And then on one fateful night, the hotel's bartender grabs Alan and takes him to the back room where a local jewel thief is tending to a wound from a bullet graze. So pretty serious stuff. He explains that he had been shot at by the cops when he attempted to rob a store. As a joke, or maybe dead serious, the thief dares Alan to finish the job. Alan is not one to back down from a dare, so he walks to the targeted store, now abandoned by the cops. They're gone, and he scales the building. Now on the roof, he finds the hole the other thief had cut with his rope all ready to climb. So the cops just left it there. So Alan shimmies down the rope, cleans the place out, and then said, quote, "It was just truly a thrill. Better than teaching swim at the hotel."
That is a weird plan. That's not a thing you do. Let's go back and try again, even after we're already caught.
Yeah.
I mean,
the hole's already in the roof. It's just waiting for someone to shimmy down.
Why aren't people there? That's crazy.
Maybe there were budget issues with the Miami Police Department. They couldn't send backup to patrol it. Maybe something more serious happened. Maybe there was another jewel heist.
Yeah,
not far away from there.
But for some reason, the cops just abandoned it.
Yeah.
Which is silly.
I don't know what happened. But so it was just truly a thrill. And just a few days later, he's handed an envelope stuffed with $18,000, which is $180,000 today. And now, he's in this for the long haul. So in both cases, they got a piece and they were in. Eventually, Jack and Alan's friends formally introduced the two of them. And they're only a year apart in age. Alan is 26 at this time. Jack is 27. They become instant best friends. The duo joins forces to become the biggest threat to Miami's wealthy tourists and their jewelry. Their buddies in the hotel industry tip them off on good targets, and contacts in the insurance agencies let them know when someone takes out a plan on their brand new jewelry. Alan never used weapons. Jack, he might have had a trusty blade on hand. To quote him, "I did some enforcing. I had already been further down the dark road than Alan, as we know. Thieving was a way to rebel against society." Alan insists it was never about the money. It was always about the thrill of the chase. People always say this. It was never about the money, but I rarely believe them.
No, they'd be doing some weird stuff if they only wanted the thrill. Like they wouldn't be robbing. They would just be causing chaos. But
I'm just cutting holes in the roofs of buildings for fun, for the thrill of it.
Yeah, see, that's different. Yeah.
And shimmying down and then leaving.
Exactly.
Because it's not about the money. But they weren't subtle about their earnings either. Some purchases include new swanky apartments, a white Cadillac. I feel like white Cadillacs probably are pretty nice in Miami. A sailboat and a speedboat. I guess the speedboat was for when the sailboat did not go fast enough. We can assume that, right? It didn't take long for the Miami cops to get on Alan and Jack's tail, though. Again, not surprised. They had already been questioned for several robberies and even arrested for vagrancy charges. But they always got off with the help of their shady mob lawyer.
And during this time, they meet 29-year-old Roger Clark, a local house painter. Originally from Connecticut, Roger was a lifeguard in high school before joining the Navy. So we got a new boy in town. When his service ended, he briefly returned to Connecticut to work at a chemical factory before heading to Miami as a jack of all trades. Everyone who knows Roger, including Jack and Alan, called him quiet, sweet, calm, and cool. Though Roger may be all those things, he was also an adrenaline junkie, and he wants in on some fun heists. His opportunity comes in the fall of 1964 when Jack and Alan feel the cops breathing down their necks. Perhaps it's best to skip town for a while. Smart move, as the FBI had been investigating them since spring of that year.
Okay, got to get out of Dodge, or get out of Miami.
But where are we going? Where to go? New York has plenty to plunder. Here, as they target the bounties of the Big Apple after this quick break.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
Here's what some people are saying about the Projection Booth podcast.
The Projection Booth is single-handedly the greatest film podcast you could ever listen to or could possibly want.
Top notch. 5 stars. This has quickly become one of my favorite film-related podcasts. Always interesting.
A completely unpretentious yet fully comprehensive look at films from all genres.
This podcast is an amazing resource and one that helps in the discovery or rediscovery of films for anyone who enjoys thinking about cinema.
If you love movies and podcasts, subscribe and enjoy the Projection Booth.
Every episode is beautifully crafted to give you a true audio experience. a wonderful companion to the films they cover.
The projection booth is awesome. A wide range of films covered from classic to cult to contemporary. Thoroughly researched, very entertaining, and always informative.
Projection Booth Podcast, with new episodes available every week at projectionboothpodcast.com.
Back from the break, and Jack and Alan are heading up to New York City, both to hide from the heat, the fuzz, in Miami, and to find some glimmering new valuables to pilfer. Today, the two men argue about why they went to New York. Alan says they went to rob the American Museum of Natural History, but Jack says they were originally targeting socialites. It sounds like from their time in Miami, they did both, right?
Yeah.
And then it doesn't matter why they went, though. What matters is what happens when they got there. Alan drives himself and Jack up in his white Cadillac. They check into the Stanhope Apartment Hotel on the Upper East Side using fake names. And what the heck? They invite Roger, too. Roger drives up from Miami separately. We do not have the make and model of his car. And the trio start their operation at the museum. As jewel thieves, they naturally gravitate towards the J.P. Morgan Hall of Gems and Minerals. It would have been a bold choice to pivot to priceless artifacts or fossils, which I think a lot of people know the museum for, dinosaurs, etc. They tried to be inconspicuous, but Alan apparently did not get the incognito memo. This is when they're kind of casing the joint. And he wore his classic Florida beach attire. Jack was quoted as saying, he dressed like he was a part of a Shriners convention. Argyle socks, a yellow jacket, a fancy shirt. I said, get a dark outfit. Classic New Yorkers. We wear all black, although I don't, especially on days where it's 100 degrees out. Still, the trio manages to observe the guards' patterns with the hope and assumption that they repeat the same pattern at night, because obviously you can't case the place at night because it's closed. And on their visit, they notice that the exhibit's windows are actually cracked open. And so it turns out museum staff opened the tops of the Gems Hall's 19 exterior windows by 2 inches for ventilation. Central air conditioning wasn't a thing yet for the museum, so the draft from the windows was the only fresh air the room could get. I feel like at night they could still close them. I mean, maybe the gems need to be kept at a certain temperature.
You don't want to send a security guard up on the roof a bunch of times a day. He's not going up the ladder. That's too much to ask.
Yeah, too much work. Okay, fine. But also, none of the windows, we mentioned the security system earlier, but none of the windows are actually rigged with security alarms. So the 3 thieves are locked in on their target, but they change lodging to the Cambridge House Hotel, which is in walking distance to the museum. And of course, they have to get the penthouse suite. We know our Beach Boys ride in style. And the trio is also, they're not all work and no play. They visit other museums, jazz clubs, and even the World's Fair, which is happening that year. They also party it up at their penthouse suite. They tip a bellhop $100 for delivering liquor. That's $300 today. And they order 2 cases of soda just to dump out the liquid and use the caps to play a silly game where they flip them at the wall. Cool. Fun game. 2 cases of soda just for the caps. Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah. And then with the Lyndon Johnson versus Barry Goldwater presidential election just a few days away, a Goldwater canvasser apparently came by the hotel, tried to solicit their votes, and he said the men were rude, obnoxious, and fresh. They were so fresh with me. I haven't heard fresh in a while.
Fresh.
I guess fresh was a term in the 60s already. And of course, they host some crazy parties. Even though they're living extravagantly, they do make sure to leave some funds for heisting supplies in their budget. They don't let it all go to waste. And with all these parties came new friends. One of these friends is Janet Florkowitz, a 19-year-old Wall Street secretary who catches Alan's eyes. She's described by family as a bit of a rebel, and Jack is not a fan of their growing entourage and requests a rain check on the operation, but Alan has faith they can pull this off.
Yeah, they're like partying and like, our entourage is too big. I mean, how can they party at a time like this? I would not be relaxed.
Take the job seriously, guys. Come on. I mean, I guess they put a lot less pressure on themselves by just partying, and then it's just, just part of their days, part of their time in New York.
Yeah. All right. On Thursday, October 29th, the heist is on. At around 7 p.m., Roger, Alan, and Jack leave their penthouse suite equipped with their tools and radios for a worst-case scenario. Roger drives them in Alan's white Cadillac and pulls around to the rear of the museum. And Alan and Jack exit, leaving Roger as the getaway lookout. The duo easily clears the spiked steel fence around the museum's perimeter into the courtyard. A real challenge faces them now. How do they scale the museum's 125-foot wall? Lucky for them, the museum keeps up with fire safety, has plenty of fire escapes for the boys to climb. So they're just scaling the building. Once they reach the 4th floor, they secure a rope just above them and ease a window down with their feet. With the window open, they climb down the rope some 25 feet to the exhibit floor.
That's pretty far. I mean, I'm guessing they have to be in good shape to pull this off. I feel like there's a lot of
that's pretty intense.
A lot of climbing. There's crawling through a window. There's going down the rope to the floor. Okay.
I know. So what's the next move? Alan says they just sat there for a while. Maybe they're tired from the rope climbing.
Yeah, okay.
I would need several breaks if I'm doing this.
Yeah.
As they stare past the metal gates separating them from the rest of the museum, they are met with continued silence. Just enjoying the silence, I guess.
The peace of a museum at night, yes.
Yeah. They never spot a guard, let alone hear their footsteps. At 9:30 p.m., when the coast is clear, they get down to business. Jack pulls out a glass cutter, a suction cup with a scoring tool attached for a perfect circle cut.
I think we've seen those in movies, right?
Yeah.
Of course, I'm not remembering Thomas Crown Affair, maybe. I'm trying to remember what movies actually had that.
Yeah,
you
lots
know
of cartoons.
It's the suction, and it cuts around, and you pull it off.
Yeah, I feel like I only know it from movies.
Lots of cartoons, that's right.
Yeah. With surgical precision, they make the first cut. When they believe the scoring is deep enough, they tape over the circle and tap, tap, tap with a hammer. The glass breaks in a few neat pieces, hopefully quietly. Now for the moment of truth. They lift the gym and brace for alarms. You know, the one that the museum's geology curator, Brian H. Mason, would turn off when he handled the gyms and then back on. So there is an alarm system in place.
Yeah, so it should be going off, right?
Yeah. Yet somehow, when the jewel thieves crack the glass casing, no alarms sound. They chalk it up to dumb luck, which is crazy. What was their plan if it was going to go off?
I mean, I guess they were just going to rush themselves a lot more if it didn't go off, right? They would have maybe stole less, got out the window quicker.
That's why they're taking that break, because they're ready for a 2-minute heist. You know, they're trying to get pumped.
Yeah, they're bracing themselves for the quick exit. I mean, theoretically, if the alarm went off, you would think the guards would come pretty quickly. So whatever you steal first might be the only thing you get. But it didn't go off, so they have more time.
Yeah. And in fact, they were right. You see, the batteries in the alarms had died and corroded, and no one bothered to actually test the alarms and change the batteries, which is pretty crazy.
Seems like
so they've been dead for months.
Yeah. I'm guessing after that, they started a schedule, like a system, right? We must test the batteries
check the alarms.
Yeah,
maybe all the time.
3 days or something. every night. Sure, why not? Yes.
Yeah. The trio couldn't have possibly had known this, but they were just very, really, really lucky.
Yes, they were.
Now that there is an alarm, they go wild, repeating their score, tape, tap routine. They also use a squeegee to capture smaller gems, moving the gems closer to the hole in the glass, almost like a brush.
Exactly. No fingerprints. So they're good. I mean, they've done this many times before. They know what they're doing. It's clear.
They managed to grab some heavy hitters. The Star of India Sapphire, the Orchid Red DeLong Star Ruby, the Midnight Star, and the Eagle Diamond, all discussed earlier in this episode, are gone.
All the hits. All the hits.
They finish at midnight. They're in there for over 2 hours.
Wow.
And they slip out the way they came. At this point, they're pretty sure they triggered some sort of silent alarm and don't want to spend all their good luck. So they decide to part with their getaway driver just to be safe. I mean, good luck for the getaway driver. He has to still get away by himself.
Yeah.
They radio Roger to clear out, and clear out he does. He drives straight to Connecticut to lay low with his family.
Pretty easy day for Roger, huh? Does Roger get equal amount to Alan and Jack?
No way.
I mean,
we didn't even use your getaway skills,
yeah.
So we're cutting here.
You just kind of like drove to Connecticut and saw your family. It was kind of just like a family trip for you. Does this even count? Yeah. We'll give you a little bit. Yeah.
Alan and Jack sit crouched in the bushes and divvy up the jewels.
Shouldn't they do that somewhere else? Why are you in the bushes? Okay,
Why are you divvying up now? Yeah. Once finished, they split up and take cabs. All in all, they managed to steal 24 precious gemstones from the American Museum of Natural History.
And I'll just say here, I definitely never knew this story before, right? I feel like the museum is pretty famous, quite famous. Right. It's in a lot of movies and stuff too. Everyone in New York knows it. And I bet if I took a survey of everyone in my neighborhood, no one would know the story. So that's pretty crazy, you know? how quickly this could be forgotten. Because you have to imagine this is, and I think we talk about it, right? It's going to be front page news. These are expensive gems. It's the fact that someone broke in the Museum of Natural History. I mean, I'm not shocked that the museum doesn't like talk about it, right? They don't want to be like, hey, this happened to us once. But pretty astounding. So pretty cool story from the past.
Yeah. No, I think it's interesting that. No, I am surprised that, because I didn't know about this, but to hear from you just now that no one in New York knows about it either is pretty crazy.
No. I mean, no. So anyway, back to our story. So Alan and Jack are not keen on staying too long, and they leave the Cambridge Hotel the next morning, October 30th. It's almost Halloween, but they leave without even checking out, which I'm assuming then was less of a thing. Now it's like, oh, it's fine. You'll do it on your phone later, or we have your card on file. I'm guessing in those days, no, you check out, you leave the key, you pay with traveler's check or whatever people did in the 1960s. So they leave without checking out. And then by 9:15 a.m., Alan, Jack, and of course, Janet board a flight from JFK to Miami, all under fake names. So Janet is now along for the ride.
All right.
Janet carries a yellow suitcase that to the average traveler would just be another carry-on, but what's inside is anything but average. She's got all 24 stolen gems in her carry-on. And Janet later claims, whether we believe her or not, that she had no idea what was inside. I would say if I'm Alan and Jack, no offense, Janet, they just met her. If someone's going to get caught, they'd probably be like, yeah, stick it to her. We don't know her that well.
How do you not know what's in your bag, though? But I guess you don't.
Yeah, maybe he put in, it's okay. Do you have room for an extra sock in your bag?
There you go.
And then it's a tube sock. It could carry a lot of jewels. And there it goes. It fits.
You're right. Can you carry this giant, hard tube sock? Yeah.
Why is it so hard? Oh, it's crusty. Sorry, I need to wash it. So while the sneaky heisters are 30,000 feet in the air, museum guard John Hoffman arrives for a shift and discovers the crime. No alarms went off, so they're just seeing the broken glass. The J.P. Morgan Hall of Gems and Minerals is closed to visitors, but the rest of the museum stays open. And even though the insurers may call them priceless, museum bookkeepers estimate the stolen jewels are worth up to $410,000, which is nearly $4 million today. So this is quite a heist.
Yeah.
Priceless, but also $4 million today. And then, according to the New York Daily News, quote, the crime touched off an international manhunt for a master burglar who had written a chapter in criminal history that rivals anything in fiction. Guards at airports and seaports and at border crossovers were alerted. Interpol was asked to alert its far-flung operatives to search for the gems. So the hunt is on. But by the time these alerts went out, as we said, Alan, Janet, and Jack, they'd already landed. They were already out of town pretty quick. And then Jack's girlfriend, Bonnie Lou Sutera, picked them up from the airport and drove them to Alan's apartment.
All right. I mean, they're in a pretty good spot,
Got in and out. We think they left no fingerprints, right? They did a good job of getting out quickly. No alarms went off. They didn't pay their hotel bill, but here they are, back in Florida, back in Miami.
Yeah. And now, safe at home, the guys wait until Bonnie Lou leaves to go about her day, and then they send Janet out. They pull the curtains and shine a flashlight on the stones. They marvel at the gemstones' beauty, saying that they look like shooting stars. They can't just hide precious gems like these in an underwear drawer, so Alan hides them in the hallway outside of his apartment in the ceiling.
Is that a lot better than an underwear drawer?
Putting it outside, I guess if his apartment got raided, that's smart.
They think, yeah. I mean, well, the cops were onto them before. They know they've probably committed other crimes. So, yeah, I guess that makes sense. Leaving it in a drawer would be obvious to find. Maybe they would not look outside the apartment. Yeah, sure. Okay.
Jack says some are also stuffed in the garbage, which is crazy.
Yeah.
I'd be terrified of hiding anything in the garbage.
I mean, you really have to remember, and tell Janet, I take the garbage out because I believe that that's a man's job, Janet. Men take the garbage out. Don't you dare.
I know. Weird. But also, I feel like police and FBI are known for going through garbage.
They always go through garbage. It's true.
They love garbage.
Anybody just throw it on the floor and slowly go through it. That's right.
Yeah. There's dumpster diving FBI agents.
Maybe this was a pre-garbage time. Maybe this was before they knew to go in the garbage, and they weren't doing that yet.
This is the case that made them change their mind.
This is the case that made. Every time you see a cop or the FBI go through garbage, it's because of the Beach Boys.
Which I always do.
Always.
Jack and Alan make quick work of profiting off their loot, trading some of their smaller gems for $30,000.
Well, they had their operatives, right, who were giving them clues, so they must know buyers somewhere. But this is the smaller gems, though, so not the biggies.
The next day, Halloween, October 31st, Vice Squad Detective James Walsh patrols the Upper West Side, walking past the Cambridge Hotel. Before he could pass, a front desk clerk waves him inside. There are 3 guys in this place who are spending money like wild. You think they're making it with a machine. He makes note of it and returns to his apartment with a statement. Meanwhile, the reality of running off to Miami with 2 dudes she barely knows hits Janet, and she decides that she's not into the rebel lifestyle anymore. She calls her roommate in New York, telling her she's scared of Alan and Jack. Yeah, because they're probably insane and partying.
Don't touch the garbage, Janet.
I know, yeah.
These weirdos. Who did I go to Miami with? Seriously, don't touch the garbage.
Yeah. The roommate understandably calls the New York cops. And Janet didn't just tell her roommate about what was happening in Miami. She also mentions the name of the hotel where they stayed in New York.
It's coming together, the Cambridge. So now it's time to call in our detectives, Richard Moline and Jack McNally. McNally is described as a guy that, quote, had the boldness and street smarts of a Raymond Chandler protagonist. So no nonsense, has a hat over his eyes,
I don't think I know who Raymond Chandler is.
He was a writer, wrote a lot of The Long Goodbye. If you know any of those detective stories.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Got it.
But they had received both tips and are pretty sure this is all connected. Not a surprise. They even wake up a judge to get a search warrant, no time to waste. And when they reach the penthouse, they come upon a scene out of the Hangover franchise. Now, that is a modern day reference. I don't think they thought it was out of the Hangover franchise.
Mike Tyson was there. There was a white tiger.
There was a tiger. Was Mike Tyson even born yet? Maybe he was just born. He was living in New York nearby. But, modern day reference looks like a Hangover scene. The room is absolutely destroyed, has marijuana, sneakers, embedded with glass, photos of several museums, books and precious stones, floor plans to the museum, burglary tools, scales, and a few packets of heroin to boot. So they really
did not remember this sequel to Hangover.
I don't know. I feel like there might have been heroin there. That's
sneakers embedded with glass.
But I mean, they did a really terrible job of cleaning up. I mean, I know they were in a rush, but you feel like you could have cleaned up any of this, right?
You gotta leave your weed, dude. Like, come on.
I know. Well, that's not the first issue that came to mind for me, Jesse. I don't know. The glass, the museums, the stones. They left some stones.
If you have drugs, you're gonna take your drugs, but they left also stones and books about stones.
Do you think it was easier to fly with drugs at that time? Do you think there were less dogs around sniffing, and you could just put it in your girlfriend's handbag or something?
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense.
I mean, I think that's probably true. In that case, they could have brought it with them. But also heroin. I don't know if we knew that our Beach Boys were into heroin.
They're fun guys.
They were hanging out with the Velvet Underground at their hotel,
I'm sure that is one of the contributing factors to scaring Janet, Yeah. They also had heroin. They're insane.
Oh, we didn't mention the heroin earlier? Oh, sorry about that.
Yeah.
We just mentioned the garbage fixation. So even with this bounty of evidence, they still don't find anything that would help identify their crooks. Well, I guess that makes sense. But McNally doesn't throw in the towel easily. He decides to spend the night, curious if anyone will return. Maybe that's why he spent the night. Or maybe he's like, dude, it's the penthouse. There's heroin. There's marijuana.
I'll stay here.
There's precious stones. You go home. Don't worry, Richard. I got this place covered in case anyone, comes back. And he calls some friends.
What does he do? Does he just sit on the bed with a gun that is pointing at the door?
I mean, it seems. So McNally makes it through the night without any interruptions, but the next morning, as he's washing up in the bathroom, what was he doing? As he's washing up in the bathroom,
heroin, obviously.
They'll never know I did all this heroin because my face is clean. But while he's washing up, he hears the telltale jingle of keys and 2 male voices, and it's Roger, and he brought a friend. McNally scrambles to find his gun and manages to arrest them both. It quickly becomes obvious that Roger's poor friend had nothing to do with what's happening, so they let him go. As for Roger, Moline and McNally, they grill him. At first, Roger denies any knowledge of the burglary, but according to Moline, after some applied psychology, does that mean they punch him in the face? After some applied psychology, he confessed to his part and rats out Jack and Alan as well. Roger claims this applied psychology was nothing short of police brutality. So, yeah, we were right. But Roger says, I was beaten and assaulted by one of them who kicked me with his booted feet, and he struck and jabbed me with a blackjack. What's a blackjack?
I forget what that is.
That's not a playing card. I'm assuming it's some type of weapon.
It's pretty freaking intense.
Okay.
I know that.
Maybe I don't want to know.
Is it just wow, the ultimate blackjack weapons buyer guide is what I've quickly found.
And wait, what do you see?
Yeah, it's
Jesse?
like a handle with a leather strap, like a tiny whip almost.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it looks pretty brutal.
Man. So those claims, though, fell on deaf ears. He's charged with drug possession and possession of burglary tools. He gets released on bond. Now for the big dogs. The Manhattan police call their Miami counterparts and request a special delivery. 8 Miami cops burst into Allen's apartment. Allen recalls the FBI tearing up his place, searching for the stolen goods, but they can't find the jewels, which I guess means they do not look in the garbage. They do not look in the ceiling outside the apartment. Allen and Jack are both taken into custody, and they spend a few nights in Miami jail on charges of interstate transportation of stolen property. They're released, and then they're extradited to Manhattan and slapped with first-degree burglary and possession of burglary tools. But without the jewels, the cops can't hold them, so they get released on bail and return to Miami. Lots of back and forth. But now they're the talk of New York City. New York prosecutor Maurice Najari, you mentioned earlier, astonished, said that the trio was being treated like celebrities rather than criminals. These were the bad guys. This is what he said. This is a quote. These are the bad guys, but the papers had them played as heroic characters. The crowds cheered them as they walked by. Who knew that charismatic jewel thieves would be so popular? Yeah.
No, I can see that. I mean, it's a huge deal. And if it's like young surfer dudes, that's more, I totally get it.
Who are these Beach Boys from Miami coming up and stealing our jewels?
I know. Yeah. Even though they were out on bail, the cops kept an eye on Jack and Allen, but that couldn't stop Allen from moving his product. Allen manages to sell the Eagle Diamond and some of the more smaller jewels.
I don't know if you saw this. I saw that there were rumors that he actually broke the Eagle Diamond to pieces and sold it off that way, which probably made it a lot easier to sell, right?
That makes a lot more sense.
Yeah,
I thought
versus
this was giant diamond.
Yeah, the Eagle Diamond. Of course I'll buy this versus, just a smaller, beautiful diamond I will buy. Yes.
Got it. He tries to get more bites, even soliciting a pilot friend to fly the largest stones to the Middle East for sale. But his usual social circle doesn't want any part of this. Hi Gordon, an experienced fence, tells Allen that this is too hot to handle. But one friend is down to party. Yacht broker and former co-conspirator Dick Pearson offers to bury the stones in his backyard.
Do you trust that? I don't know. They must know Dick pretty well to be like, sure, I thank you for burying them in your yard.
Yeah.
They would never think the yacht broker did it.
Right. I guess they're trusting him. By now, Najari is getting frustrated and wants to slap even more charges on Allen and Jack. But will he manage to dig up the truth? More when we return after the break.
Stay tuned.
Here's what some people are saying about the Projection Booth podcast.
This podcast takes no shortcut in producing outstanding content. How they haven't become more widely recognized is beyond me.
I love this show. Smart commentary, in-depth interviews, and great production.
It's obvious how serious these guys take their podcast and bring that next level of professionalism that anyone would be hard-pressed to match.
There are few things better in life than listening to people who are both passionate and knowledgeable about their subject matter. The Projection Booth, with their wide and wild range of film discussions, is one of those things. Simple as that.
The Projection Booth is the highest quality film podcast around. I love the focus on cult films, witty, informative banter, and amazing interviews. The Projection Booth is the best podcast out there if you're a serious film lover.
The Projection Booth Podcast, with new episodes available every week at projectionboothpodcast.com.
Okay, Heist Clubbers, welcome back. By now, New York prosecutor Maurice Najari is frustrated and the media pressure is getting to him but he won't let this one go. Well, makes sense. He reopens cold robbery cases in New York City and noses around Miami's as well, hoping for leads. A desk clerk at New York City's Algonquin Hotel identified Jack as the man who robbed him in 1964. Jack denies this to this day. Reporters heavily criticize Najari on this move, and the charges get dropped as quickly as they are brought up. But Najari is not throwing in the towel. Meanwhile, Alan and Jack just cannot give up their thieving ways, kind of like an addiction. They lead the Miami police on a mile-long chase after a burglary. Just like asking to get caught, aren't they?
They're doing a lot, man.
I know.
Yeah.
But they make bail in time to fly to New York for a hearing, but it's actually a trap. You see, Najari was cooking up another plan. His idea to rifle through cold cases eventually paid off. He read a peculiar case in Miami. Stockbroker Richard Brown and his wife Ava Gabor, who people might recognize that name, were pistol whipped at the Racket Club in Miami in 1964. Can't say I knew this about Ava. The thief stole Ava's $25,000 ring. And conveniently, Ava's in New York at this time, and she picked Alan and Jack out of a lineup. So we got him. Najari just had to convince a New York grand jury that they should bring indictments on the two men for a crime they committed in Miami, Florida. That seems like something you can't do. Somehow he succeeded, though. On January 5th, 1965, which is the year after 1964, the judge raised the bail to $150,000 each. And then, unable to come up with the funds, Alan and Jack sit in jail. And when Najari asked if he believed they robbed Ava, he said, "It served my purposes." So, wow. Conniving guy.
Yeah.
With his job complete for now, Najari sits in his office working on some other cases when he receives a call from a warden. "A prisoner wants to see you." I'm just making up what the warden voice sounds. But to Najari's shock and delight, it's actually Alan. And while in jail, Alan realized he needed to make an executive decision. They'd been had. The prosecutor would obviously rather die than see them go free. Sure. So he decides to gun for a lighter sentence. Alan offers to go down to Miami and retrieve the jewels in favor of a lighter sentence. Najari agrees to Alan's terms, and that evening, Alan, Najari, McNallen, Moline, and another detective, we needed another M detective, Peter Meenan, fly to Miami.
Whoa. That's a tongue twister.
That was a lot of people.
Upon arriving, they head to the rental car that McNally had booked. Alan is disgusted at the sight of a black sedan and digs his feet in. Okay. This guy's the worst.
Yeah.
He's only appeased when they exchange it for a red convertible. Lame. I only like convertibles. Alan makes some calls, and they hit up dozens of bars and hotels for meetings. He also offered some not-so-veiled bribes for them just to look the other way. When he's not leading them all across town, he's glued to the motel TV. They figured out pretty quickly that Alan is leading them on a wild goose chase. So, yeah, he is being annoying. It didn't help that they were flocked by dozens of reporters.
Yeah, they all knew about it. All the reporters knew. That seems not so discreet, if you would, Jesse.
Yeah. At one point, Najari phoned his boss, District Attorney Frank S. Hogan. Hogan advised him, "If you get the jewels, come back. If you don't, go to Argentina."
Oh, he gets to go on vacation to Argentina. That's so nice.
Yeah.
What a nice boss. I
wish I was instructed to go to Argentina.
Yeah. Sorry, boss. I can't find the jewels. Going to Argentina.
The detectives get impatient as Alan seems to be stalling. So Moline and McNally decide to do this their way and invite Hi Gordon.
Hi, Gordon.
Hi, Gordon.
Hi.
He's so high.
Hi.
They invite Hi Gordon, the experienced fence and former government witness, into the mess.
Why? I don't get this.
He agrees to join on the condition that he is not prosecuted for his involvement. They agree, and Gordon gets to work. A breakthrough finally comes at 3 a.m., which is right before 4 a.m.
Actually, it's right before 3:01 a.m.
Oh.
Technically.
Oh.
Sorry.
Gordon calls their home base a motel and brings Moline on what we can only describe as a scavenger hunt.
Ooh, fun. Scavenger. I love scavenger hunts. This is fun.
All right. Gordon drives Moline to a convenience store and ushers him inside. After a few minutes, the odd couple returns to the car where they find a note along with a key. All right.
Yeah.
The note directs them to Trailway's bus station, locker 0911. Gordon eats the note. Malene opens the locker and finds 2 waterlogged baggies. Gordon drops Malene off with his goodie bags. Everyone surrounds a small coffee table. This is the moment of the truth. Malene dumps the bags and contents, and out comes the Star of India, out comes the Midnight Star, a sapphire, 5 emeralds, and 2 aquamarines. Everyone is overjoyed except for Alan. He feels his heart drop to his stomach. But where is the DeLong Star ruby? Our gang also encounters another problem. In haste to get to Miami, no one thought to bring a jewel case. Najari finds the next best thing, a menstrual product disposal bag. We have a photo right here
of early 60s.
I know.
Wow.
I looked at this eBay listing earlier today.
That's how we found the photo, right?
Yeah.
Wow, got a lot of flowers on there.
Vintage random stuff is an interesting hobby.
How much is it going for on eBay, this bag?
Oh, it's only $20. Or yeah. So we could buy this right now if we needed it.
Does it go in our personal menstrual bag museum? Is that where it's going?
Yeah.
Yeah. So now they can at least head back to the airport in the red convertible, except it breaks down. So now Alan, Najari, Malene, and McNally, less M's this time, are stranded on the side of the road holding a menstrual disposal bag full of priceless gems. They make the walk of shame to the nearest payphone and call a local bail bondsman whose wife drives them to the airport. Probably not in style, not in a convertible. Although, I don't know, bail bondsmen do okay. Maybe it's a nice car.
Yeah.
Well, some do okay. April 6th, 1965, Alan Kuhn, Jack Murphy, and Roger Clark plead guilty to burglary and grand larceny. Najari asked for a 3-year sentence, complaining that the thieves were no help in retrieving the jewels. The judge agreed, handing the 3 men 3-year sentences in Rikers Island. Not fun. Later that year, Florida freelance writer Francis P. Antel confronts yacht broker Dick Pearson, we mentioned earlier, about rumors that he traded the DeLong ruby with the Chicago underworld for a loan. Pearson told him he would be able to contact somebody who could get hold of the ruby if there was the possibility of immunity and a $25,000 reward. So it sounds like Pearson, obviously has it. Najari was not about to pay a ransom, but billionaire John D. MacArthur, another character to throw in the mix, takes the bait. He pays the ransom to Pearson in a rather public display. And in a bout of deja vu, MacArthur and a reporter wait in a much nicer hotel this time when they receive a call from Antel. Time for another scavenger hunt. Antel instructs them to go to a service plaza on the Sunshine State Parkway. And then upon arrival, a payphone starts ringing. This is such a...
I know.
This is what they do. This is like so entertaining to them. I guess this is fun for us, but it's just like, dude, just give them the ruby.
Yeah, I know.
The reporter answers, this time with Rantel and Pearson at the other end. Antel tells the reporter to reach up over a ledge at the station, and I've got it, he yells. So much for immunity. Pearson was subsequently convicted. Wow, even though that didn't work out, and sentenced to 10 years in prison for his involvement in the DeLong Star Ruby case. Wait, but he got 10 years, and they got 3 years earlier? That feels not fair.
Maybe he was more annoying. I don't know.
I mean, yacht dealers normally are, right? I've met so many.
Yeah, you made us go on a scavenger hunt.
Yeah,
I guess.
How dare you? So did they.
Yeah, you're right.
Anyway. And so in 1967, Jack, Alan, and Roger were released from Rikers 1 year early, so they only did 2 years. Roger moved to Vermont, became a bartender. That's a lifestyle choice. He spent the next couple of decades working at a French restaurant, Le Petit Chef, owned by Betty Hillman. And then Betty said, I would trust Roger with my life. Roger was so law-abiding that he wouldn't even jaywalk. He drove so slowly, I used to say to him, you drove the getaway car? So it sounds like Roger really changed his ways, he cleaned up his act. How about Jack and Alan? They went back to what they did best, thieving and seducing rich women. Alan married a former hotel swimming pupil, Susan Schuler, but with the police following in every turn, he and Susan pack up for Los Angeles, but Jack tagged along too. Old habits die hard again, and they got arrested several times for different burglaries, but each time prosecutors dropped the charges due to lack of evidence. They're still good at it, People always know it's them, but they're good at it. They're always hiding in the garbage or the ceiling.
Right.
The fun and games end, though, when Jack gets involved in a much darker scheme. Long story short, 2 women were murdered and Jack was there. Jack gets arrested, but then gets out on bail, and he robs, again, a waterfront home, classic Jack, and then tries for an insanity plea. What? At this time? After a few months...
I'm insane. I bet he's not very good at it.
That's why I can't quit, because I'm insane. You are insane, but not medically. He does spend a few months in a mental hospital, but then a judge deems him fit to stand trial. In 1969, which is 5 years after 1964, Jack was convicted of first-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison, and he gets a second life sentence for the robbery. Alan also gets convicted of conspiring to receive and transport stolen securities in a separate case in California, and he spends a year in jail. But murder, I guess Alan was pretty devastated when he heard that about Jack.
Yeah. Jack was pretty unhinged. It's not surprised that he...
Unhinged enough to use an insanity plea?
No, not that unhinged. Alan finally quits his life of crime. He worked as a prop master in L.A., including working with Francis Ford Coppola on Rumblefish, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Then he moved with his wife to his home state of Missouri, where he opened a topsoil and landscaping business. So I have a fun fact about Rumblefish. I'll tell you later, but that's what was in my head as I was writing that sentence.
Okay. I'm just trying to figure out topsoil and landscaping. I mean, I guess Alan has some secret skills we didn't know about.
Right, yeah. Yeah, he's really good at landscaping because he made sure his past stayed buried.
Ooh, he probably did bury a lot of jewels, right? We have heard these stories already, so okay.
Right. Jack took the opposite route and did everything possible to stay in the limelight. He gave interviews every couple of years. He also sold his watercolor paintings, so he's staying busy.
Mm-hmm.
One Florida TV station interviewed him, and crew member Kitten Collins became enamored, visiting him twice a week over a decade.
Classic story.
Classic. In 1975, Jack gets even more attention when Marvin Chomsky's film Murph the Surf from 1975 is released.
We knew it was a good nickname. It does make for a good film title.
Yeah. Have you heard of that movie? I haven't.
No, I actually don't know who Marvin Chomsky is either. Do you?
No. I wonder if it was acclaimed at all.
Yeah.
It's a glamorized account of the museum's caper with Don Stroud, also don't know who that is, in the title role. But oddly enough, that same year, Jack converts to Christianity and starts proselytizing his fellow inmates. Prison officials think it's a plot for early release, but Jack sticks with it for over a decade. Finally, in December 1986, he convinced them he's changed and is released on parole.
Wait, Jesse, how many years after 1964 is 1986?
22 years.
Yes, it is. Okay, keep going.
He promptly marries Kitten Collins and starts a career as a prison evangelist. He also publishes a memoir where he conveniently leaves out the murder stuff.
The murder stuff. I always leave out the murder stuff. You know, that murder stuff? Oh, we don't need to talk about that. That's just stuff about murder.
Yeah, you can have and also I murdered chapter in your book.
Yeah.
Finally free, Jack is itching to get in touch with his old friends. Roger is pretty easy to find. He calls the restaurant and asks for him. Roger is overjoyed to see his friend, and they stay in touch until Roger's death in 2001.
Aww.
I know. But he strikes out trying to find Alan, no such luck.
Until one fateful morning in 2004. Fine, I'll do the math. It's 40 years after 1964. As Alan's reading the paper, he stumbles upon a familiar name. Jack is going to speak at a prison near Fresno, California. So dumbfounded, Alan leaves a message at Jack's business and he gets a call back 15 minutes later. So clearly Jack's been waiting for years to try and find Alan, and he's so excited to call him back.
Yeah.
They pick up right where they left off, over the phone. I mean, they're not robbing places or people.
Right, yeah.
And Jack only has one question for Alan. Do you want to go to prison with me? The reunion takes place in front of hundreds of inmates. Alan was faced with the spectacle that is Jack. Apparently, Jack rolls up with 40 bikers, and there are pretty girls playing guitar. Jack also brought a fleet of counselors for the inmates. After that, Alan kept his life of anonymity and took up weed farming, which makes sense based on what they left in the hotel room years before.
Yeah.
But weed farming in his little mountain town in Northern California, and then he died in 2017. Jack lived with Kitten and their 3 grandchildren in Tampa, Florida, until his death in 2020. Today, the star of India, The DeLong Star Ruby and the Midnight Star are displayed in the Natural History Museum's first floor Morgan Hall mineral. So now it's the first floor, not the fourth floor. I'll have to look for it next time I go. And their display doesn't give any hints of their brief mummification. Again, not a surprise. Like I said, no one knows the story, and it's like the museum is telling people. The original hall apparently has been converted into staff offices, but those original windows are still in place. I'm guessing they're now closed. They have air conditioning, so they don't leave them open anymore.
Right.
But only 10 of the 24 jewels were recovered, and the Eagle Diamond has not been seen since. Maybe because it was broken up into pieces, or maybe because someone's displaying it in their home, and they've not let the word out. So pretty amazing, pretty impressive.
Yeah, this is a good one.
This really was.
Especially if we're just judging the heist, as we often do, what would we rate this out of 5 diamonds?
I mean, they got caught, but they really didn't do that much time. Dick Pearson did some time, but the 3 of them didn't.
Yeah.
It's also, there's a lot of different heists in here. Obviously, they pull a lot of things off over their life, but the Natural Museum is their biggest. I'm going to go at least 4. I'm thinking 4.5.
I was going to say 4.5 as well.
I mean, that's high because they get caught. And I think 5 should only be when you don't get caught or whatever it is. But I mean, they were partying hard. And yet in the middle of that, climbed the building, got through the window, climbed down. I mean, part of this is also on the lack of security or lack of batteries for the museum. But they stole a lot of amazing gems. They got them out of New York really quickly. They sold some of them. And they only got caught, for a few reasons, I guess. And maybe if they would have not partied as hard, maybe if their girlfriend was not as scared of them, and maybe if they stopped stealing and just tried to live a crime-free life. But still, maybe I'll end. You're going 4.5. I'll end with 4. I still think 4 is a pretty solid diamond rating for what they pulled off.
Yeah, no, I'm going to say 4.5. I'll save my half diamond for when we find one that was never found again, I guess.
Yeah.
Just the perfect heist, the undeniable, I don't even know if that's possible, but we'll see.
Yeah. And then, listeners out there, we'd love your thoughts. Do we think the Eagle Diamond will ever be found again? But, I don't know. Murph the Surf lived quite the life, right? So did Alan.
Murph the Surf was crazy, just showing up with 40 bikers at the end there. What is this guy?
Yeah, with that in mind, maybe this movie was made too early. This movie with this director we don't know and this actor we don't know. It's possible, make that today. Get the whole life in there. People love a redemption story, but there's also this whole I guess he did it for long enough that we buy into the proselytizing, right? It must have been a real thing. Yeah. So we'd love to hear what you think. Listeners, get in touch with us. Tell us what you think. You could follow us and become a full-fledged member of the Heist Club on Instagram and TikTok. We are at Heist Club Pod. That's at Heist Club POD.
And tune in next week for detectives across Europe hunt down acrobatic book thieves.
Yeah. So thank you. See you next week. Heist Club is a production of School of Humans, hosted by me, Todd Weiser.
And me, Jesse Neiswanger. I do all the fancy audio and music editing too.
This episode was researched and produced by Carolyn Talmadge. Our senior producer is Amelia Brock.
Our production manager is Daisy Church. Our executive producers are Virginia Prescott, Brandon Barr, and Elsie Crowley.
Join us again next week for Heist Club, and don't forget to rate and review. Thanks.